Hey guys, it's your anxious, quirky, creative makeup artist friend Cat Sketch here today to bring you another Chit Chat Get Ready With Me video. Today is going to be something grand that we're going to talk about that I've always wanted to talk about but never thought to put it in a video. I don't know why. Whenever I'm hanging out with my makeup artist friends, this is what we talk about, which is our favorite makeups from TV shows and movies. And not just any makeup, not just a red lip and a neutral eye look. I'm talking about makeup effects. Nothing basic, nothing simple, just my absolute faves in TV shows and movies, just like that wowed me, that made my jaw drop. So that's what we're gonna talk about today while I prime my face and do all this. So let's talk about my first ever, my all-time favorite TV show in general, but also makes this list because the beauty makeup and effects makeup both cut it. It's so good. Which is Girl Pushing Daisies. It's such an underrated TV show. It has Lee Pace, who is from the amazing movie called The Fall. He was the Elven King from Lord of the Rings trilogy series. Oh, he's so handsome, he's so tall. He's so quirky and cool in this. The goddess Kristen Chenoweth is in this, who's super underrated. You know, she played it Wicked. She's amazing, the girl of all the talents. And it's just so good. I was lucky enough to see behind the scenes of this show when I was in makeup school because it just so happened that my fantasy teacher, Mr. Todd McIntosh, worked on this TV show. And that's why I also love it, and it's on this list of best makeup effects because they have great like gore makeups of like murder mystery type things. The show is so good. It's so underrated, I'm telling you. Maybe I'm just saying this because it is my all-time favorite TV show, but everyone I know who I show the show to, they like it too, but it has to hit like a certain type of person, a certain type of audience. It's so whimsical and dreamy. Not only is the makeup and beauty makeup and effects makeup in this good, but the costume design is superb. The sets are superb. Some of it's corny green screen, but you could look over that because the effects of like the blisters and people burning and dying and stuff, the effects of that makeup is pretty darn good. It's so cute and it's hard to explain. It's so good. If you like stuff like, let me think, Series of Unfortunate Events, The Chronicles of Narnia, this might be the show for you because it's like so dreamy. There's a love story in it. There's murder mysteries in it. It's just so good. I actually filmed this video. This is my second time because the first time I tried to use P. Louise concealer and do my eye makeup first, and that just does not my flavor. No. Speaking of my amazing teacher, Mr. Todd McIntosh, another TV show that he worked on that is definitely on this list is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This speaks to my preteen soul. I was addicted to this show. Sarah Michelle Gellar was my queen when I was a preteen. I wanted to be her. I wanted to look like her. Who didn't? She was so cute. She's like girl next door if she kicked butt and like terrorized the night in a good way. The show is just so fabulous, and the effects makeup of whatever silicone type prosthetic they put on this area of those vampires, I feel like this was the most realistic looking vampires. If I could draw out what a vampire should look like, they would look like the vampires from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was so much great heartthrob romance when you're in those teen stages in life and you're rooting for certain people. It's so good. Not only is the plot this good, the people are good looking and quirky and good, but the makeup, oh my gosh. Just the way that I can barely see I can't see any seams on those forehead prosthetics, like right here. And doing makeup, especially prosthetics right there, areas that, you know, you frown a lot, you move your face a lot, that's really hard to seamlessly put down makeup around. And I'm sure all the makeup artists, including Todd McIntosh, who worked on that for like a decade, did such a great job. It was so good. It blew my mind, even when I was like 12 watching that show. Another makeup that we studied in school, a movie that we studied that had the best makeup of vampires, again, was so good, which is The Hunger. This is such an underrated movie. I feel like not a lot of people talked about it. It displayed vampires again in such a realistic, good way. You know, when there was that time in cinematic history when vampires had sparkles and they were just teenagers with angst? This is not The Hunger. The Hunger is probably rated R. I definitely think it is. It was way more believable, especially the makeup, because the makeup in this on those special effects made the skin like beautiful, glistening, translucent or real, like it had a luminosity to it. You could see like light coming from under the skin. It looked dewy to the max. If a natural glow and effects makeup had its own category, The Hunger would win. It was so good. And just the plot on how vampires kill their prey in that show makes Lady Gaga in the American Horror Story look like trash. I hate to say it, because that season just made me like confused, and I felt like that whole season was just about how beautiful Lady Gaga was, and it wasn't really in the plot. That's just my opinion, but I could do a whole nother video about things that's disappointed me in the movies and bad beauty makeups and amazing set and costume designs. Those are other videos. Let's get on. The palette we're gonna play with today is this ColourPop one that speaks to every pumpkin spice, autumn, sweater, weather soul out there. How gorgeous is that? We're gonna play with that today. Let me just powder my face down. While we talk about another cinematic beautifulness, which is Dick Tracy. I have watched this movie so many times when I was younger. I thought the love story was so romantic in it. I love anything that has to do with crime investigating, beautiful, beautiful set design. I mean, they only use so many colors in like editing this and the set design, and I love a good time era thing that isn't too boring. It just hit all the right notes for me, even when I was very young and watching Dick Tracy. The effects makeup in Dick Tracy, oh my gosh, the bulbousness of like the facial features they did was so good. Oh, it's so good. It's hard to see seams on that as well. Every wrinkle on every villain, every single aspect of those villains' special effects makeups, and some of them look like Frankenstein's, was so good. I'm using eyeshadow as contour right now, just trying new things. It was like a masterpiece. That whole film, there was nothing really wrong with it. It was just so incredible. Dick Tracy was handsome. The costume was just all so good. The cars, just everything in that movie. Okay, I'm gonna use more eyeshadow as blush and contour. There's this one movie called Legend or Legion. Tim Curry plays the devil in it, and it is very under the radar. I don't think a lot of people have seen it. It's a super old movie, but I remember, like, you know those movies that you remember as a kid and it's like deep in your soul of your brain somewhere, and you don't remember ever watching that movie until you actually see it again? That's what happened with this movie for me. The makeup on Tim Curry, first of all, he's an amazing actor, but the makeup, whoever did his makeup on this is so good. It's so big. I'm surprised his neck still works, Tim Curry, because like, how did it work after that? Because that prosthetic had to be so huge and like heavy on his whole entire body. Or maybe they just like made him look bigger, but those horns look like they weighed 50 pounds each horn. And there was no seam. I could not find a seam, even back in the day when they didn't have like Photoshop in film, which is the thing now. I couldn't see a seam, and it was just the most beautiful, best devil looking makeup I've ever seen. Horned anything makeup I've ever seen in my entire existence. Now going back to crime scene shows. My favorite crime show thing ever is, we all know this, X-Files. It's unmatched. No one has made a better alien crime scene, anything, other than X-Files. I'm not talking about the new one either. I'm talking about the old one. The new one, no ma'am. My favorite was this one where there was like a guy who was slithering through the sewage. He was like so scary. I remember having nightmares as a child from this. Makeup was so amazing. It was just so outstanding. The Ccgrwm makeup was very vivid in my brain from this show. I'm telling you, this show was so amazingly good. Whoever did the effects on that show, you just made my whole entire childhood. Like, I feel like this is what built me as a human, literally. When y'all were, like I said, watching your Disney Channel shows, I was like becoming a creepy adult as a child watching this stuff. Man, I'm really playing with these pumpkin spice colors today. I look like I took Thanksgiving, just smeared it on my eyelids. I feel like any makeup I do now is gonna look dumb compared to these makeups I'm showing you now, even though this is beauty makeup and I'm talking about effects makeup. We cannot talk about effects makeup without talking about V. Neil. She's grand. Do you remember Beetlejuice? That was so good. The guy that was flat in that movie alone, you know, the guy, he was super flat and he got ran over by cars and he was like in the DMV of the underworld in Beetlejuice. Oh my gosh. The woman with a hole in her neck. I haven't even gotten to Beetlejuice yet. Himself was so good. Played by Michael Keaton. Like, V. Neal just is queen. I remember when I met her in person, I forgot what my name was. She just blows my mind. It's like meeting your idol. Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna remember your name when you meet your idol? The way she plays with like texture and color in Beetlejuice alone, the whole like, you know, when she goes like this and her mouth is all like open with her eyes in her throat, just everything in there is so good. We're gonna play a little less of these warms in here and put some purple on. So I'm gonna wet a brush and get some of this pretty purple. We have to talk about an underrated horror movie that I absolutely loved watching when I was a kid. My parents let me watch some crazy stuff, but this movie called Slither had some of the best makeup effects I've ever seen. If you like to look at really textured like skin and boils, stuff like that, the movie Slither is right up your alley if you like horror, just gruesome, like bodies exploding, alien-y worm, just like infected things. Slither's for you. I'm telling you, that movie was so underrated. I feel like it was labeled like a D-listed horror movie, but that's because people that rated that probably don't look at makeup effects that much. They just look at how the movie did in theaters, the acting, who's in it, how much money it made, stuff like that. I'm just taking some of this burgundy, mixing it with the purple right here and right here. Putting some white touches of lighter, like white gold on top of the gold. And we need more inner corner gold. All right, let's highlight this up and talk about some of my favorite superhero movies. I'm not gonna talk about ones I don't watch. I'm sure there's a ton of great makeup effects in Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff like that, but girl, let me talk about the makeup in Deadpool, because I thought when I heard about Deadpool coming to life on the movie screen, I thought that it was gonna look super duper like Freddy Krueger recreated with the mask on. And it wasn't. It was something so grand. And Ryan Reynolds just made Deadpool that much better, to be honest. It was just so good. I was so impressed with how the makeup turned out. It looked like real skin that was burned. It's probably one of the best injury looking makeups I've seen. And even the makeups on some of the villains and stuff in that movie was just so freaking darn good. But what we need to do is also drop back into V. Neal, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna get some glue stick with my brows. I know that's so weird, but I've been loving to set my brows with glue stick before I even put product in it. V. Neal outdid herself. That's when I first heard about V. Neal, was when I saw Mrs. Doubtfire. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. His acting mixed with V. Neal's creative makeup on, oh my gosh, that was so much better than even they did John Travolta in Hairspray. It was so good. Like, they really transformed a man into this old female with these prosthetics. The makeup, I heard, took like 4 to 6 hours. She tried to get it down to 4. It was so beautifully done. That's probably the most perfect old age female makeups I've ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh, another throwback. This was like, I think, made around when I was born, which is the movie The Fly. This is back when Jeff Goldblum was first like getting recognized. Oh my gosh. The different states, the transformation of this makeup in different like time periods during this movie was so terrifying. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I still remember my parents playing this movie, and they were entranced for good reason over this makeup. Was just the many stages of it. There's such great texture, blood, boils, skin texture, just everything about that makeup is probably like, if I can make a history book of makeup effects that should be studied by all makeup effects artists, that would be in the top of like that and The Thing. The Thing was also an old movie, and I feel like it didn't do good in theaters. I think it came out somewhere when another famous movie came out. Was it Alien? I don't remember what it was. Shoot, I should know this. But that was a great movie to study makeup in as well. Another great transformation makeup back then, when you could really see all the details, because film wasn't hiding anything. There was no like CGI, stuff like that back in those days. So you could really find the seams if you look hard enough in the film. They didn't have as many like products as they do today for makeup effects at all. Like, it was so grand. Sometimes I wish I was born in a different time era so that I could be in a makeup effects artist, but I feel like even today makeup effects is very dominated by the male roles. So I don't know, but I would have loved to like be even V Neil's apprentice back then when she was doing Mrs. Doubtfire. That's like a dream. We have a little bit too much hair. We need some brow grooming. We are not even done with these lists. The Lord of the Rings trilogies and the orcs makeup alone was fantabulous. Oh my gosh. I was obsessed with the makeup effects they did on Frodo's feet, and all the hobbits' feet was so amazing and adorable. If I could just see them make feet all day, I would. If that was an ASMR channel of people doing makeup effects on making hobbit feet, I would watch that. That sounds like a great plan to me. That sounds like a great little relaxing time. It's watching people put individual hairs in hobbit feet and making the molds for them, and watching Elijah Wood put his feet into a cast to mold his feet for hobbit feet. Sounds great. Another great effects movie that I'm obsessed with the makeup of is Pan's Labyrinth. The guy without the eyes but had the eyes on his hand. Oh my gosh. So creepy. Literally was one of the characters that really haunted my nightmares. It just like really stuck with me. It was so good. And the guy, it was one of the first makeups I tried to redo on my channel. The guy with like the swirls right here, the fae, like, oh, so good. It was so good. Another great TV show with great makeup effects, of course, I could not talk about Walking Dead. The zombies in there are so amazing. They're so like the perfect, I hate when people do zombies that are super warm toned, because zombies are supposed to look lifeless. That means like they have no blood and that's been drained out practically of their bodies. I'm so lucky I got to apprentice and intern on Paramount lot when I did some jobs with the amazing Tony Gardner when he was doing the movie Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. He turned me into one of the zombies from that movie. I'm a zombie today and I'm working with Paramount for a Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. You'll see on my channel soon. Also, this makeup is done by Tony Gardner, who did Hocus Pocus. It was so great. There's so many cool things coming along. And he's like the king of zombies. He did the zombie of Billy from Hocus Pocus. He's done the Michael Jackson Thriller. He's just amazing. And just sitting in with him, I learned so much about zombies. And when you learn more about zombies, you really get to look at how they do zombies on all sides of the spectrum on these shows. And the zombies on there are pretty darn good. If I ever do a zombie makeup, I always use Tony Gardner and the Walking Dead zombies as like my go-to zombie guides. Batman Returns, the one with the penguin, I know a lot of people didn't like that movie in the whole itself, but that penguin makeup was out of this world. It was so good. It was like the penguin and Ursula are my top two villains, favorite villains. Imagine if they had a kid, it'd be so cute, like a penguin octopus. I can't explain to you the gushiness and like the sharpness of his features and like that purpley weird blood from his mouth when he's eating fish, and the whole like plot of the penguin in general is just right up my alley. I love it so much. It's so dark and mysterious, and I just love his outfit and everything about him. The Lone Ranger, I know a lot of people diss the makeup on Johnny Depp and all this stuff, but if you watch The Lone Ranger before judging it, the makeup they did on Johnny Depp when Johnny Depp's a really old Native American man in the beginning of the movie was one of the best makeups I've ever seen in my life of old age man. Mrs. Doubtfire, old age woman. Lone Ranger, old age man. That was so good. Whatever magic they performed on Johnny Depp's face was the best makeup I've ever seen on Johnny Depp in my life. I'm a huge fan of Edward Scissorhands, and this was better makeup on him. Just like, oh, so good. I can't even explain to you how good that makeup is. You should watch it. Speaking of good makeups, The Haunting of Hill House, the Bent Neck Woman alone, but every single like old school tiny makeup in that of the ghosts was so good. That show is one of the best written shows I've ever seen. It's not even that scary as it is interesting to learn the plot of that show, because a lot of people aren't even scared of that movie, which is understandable. I mean, that show, it's one of the best things I've ever seen on Netflix, just for like the setting and the designs of the sets, the plot, the writing, and the makeup. The Bent Neck Woman's amazing, like I said, and just look at everything about that show. The Wizard of Oz. I have to talk about The Wizard of Oz. It was made in the 1930s, I want to say. It was so good. The makeup back then in the 1930s, imagine putting that man in that lion makeup, the cowardly lion makeup. Imagine doing that in the 1930s. That had to take a lot of skill to curl all of his hair, to do some sort of facial stuff. It was just like the amount of paint that had to go into the Green Witch and the Tin Man was just probably amazing and deadly. Okay, I'm going to put on some eyelashes and lips and I will be right back. So I am back with lips and lashes on. I am using the Go for Bold lip set from ColourPop. It's their new gold collection. It's so pretty. They have a lip liner with a lipstick in one. And I am using, of course, I always use Dollar Lash Club lashes in the style Lexi. I love their lashes so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Another last tidbit of makeup effects I love, of course, is the alien popping out from the stomach from the original Alien movie. So good with the face huggers. I love that movie so much. Leave a comment down below on what is your favorite makeup effects in a movie or TV show that you've ever seen. I would love to hear any ones that I missed or that I should check out. I haven't seen every movie there is, even though I'm a makeup effects artist. I don't like research just every single detail. If I had time, I would. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful burst of fall on my eyes. I'm telling you, these lip sets from ColourPop are so good. They're coming out with such great stuff. This eyeshadow palette's from them as well. The wet highlighter is so affordable and so good. I don't know if Wet n Wild sells it anymore, but I'm using their highlighter. It's the highlighter Illuminatrix Mega Glow. It's in the color Crystal High. It's so good. It's perfectly wet looking. They used to have this for $5 and I don't know if they're selling it anymore, but it's so good. I actually used this eyeshadow palette from ColourPop as my blush and contour today. I'm telling you, it's so multi-purpose. I love their formulas so much. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I can't wait to hear your responses. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. I do 2 videos a week. Every Monday and Friday we do beauty videos like this and effects videos as well. I love you guys and I'll see you creators in another video. Bye!